They came after your right to an abortion, and they got it. Now, they're coming after your marriage. We told you. You said it wasn't going to happen. You said that's not their position. But I'm telling you, that's the next one up. And they're giving you every indication.
So you would be okay with the Supreme Court leaving the question of interracial marriage to the states?
Yes, I think that that's something that if you're not wanting the Supreme Court to weigh in on issues like that, you're not going to be able to have your cake and eat it too. I think that's hypocritical.
About Griswold versus Connecticut.
Well, you can list a whole host of issues. When it comes down to whatever they are, I'm going to say that they're not going to all make you happy within a given state, but that we're better off having states manifest their points of view rather than homogenizing it across the country as Roe versus Wade did.
Now, the states should get to decide whether or not you can marry someone outside of your race. Let me repeat that. It is their position that the states should be allowed to deny you the right to marry someone of the same sex if that state so deems it. Now, oddly enough, this is an administration that is doing everything that it possibly can to consolidate power at the top. For the entirety of my lifetime, listening to Reagan and then Bush and so forth and so on, for the entirety of my lifetime, the Republican Party has been about limiting federal government's power, limiting federal overreach, right? And now we have a president in Trump who is trying everything he possibly can to consolidate power at the top. He wants to run the country like he ran his business. Everybody that's got something to ask him comes and asks him something, and he just barks out orders, and it gets done that way, and he's it. Fuck these co-equal branches of power and all of that bullshit. Not in a Trump administration. But while we're consolidating power at the top, while we're saying that we're going to take the rights away from states to do certain things and consolidate it at the top, when it comes to being a bigot, yeah, that should be left up to the state. He is literally saying it is okay in his world to leave that decision up to the states. And if the state in question so happens to be, like, for example, Clarence Thomas, Supreme Court Justice and full-time piece of shit, Clarence Thomas lives in Virginia. He's married to a white woman. According to this gentleman, if the state of Virginia decides that white people can't marry black people, then he's okay with the state of Virginia telling Clarence Thomas and his wife Ginny, your marriage is null and void. What's next? What can the state decide for you? They're coming after your marriage, just like they came after your abortion. Make no mistake about it. Interracial marriage is just the tip of the iceberg. Wait till this 6-3 Supreme Court, this conservative 6-3 Supreme Court starts deciding whether or not two gay people can be married, or whether or not you can be married at all, based on this number of factors. What if a state said to you guys, you can't get married if you don't have a college degree? According to us, the state of whatever, you're not smart enough to be married if you don't have a college degree. Would you MAGA fucks still be in favor of that? Or is that when you would want the state to or the federal government to step back in and actually provide you with some protections for your marriage? Well, I didn't graduate college. I didn't go to college. So, but it still affects me, right? They're wanting to take away my right to get married because I'm not a college graduate. Would you be okay with that? Of course you wouldn't be okay with it. Now look at that through what we're talking about through that lens. You got blonde hair. Your wife's got black hair. What if the state said that people with blonde hair can't marry people with black hair? I mean, and I know it's ridiculous to say that, but to me, that's every bit as ridiculous as saying you can't marry a black person if you're white. And how many states do you think would start enacting laws against interracial marriage if the Supreme Court or the federal government on some level We're to say that that's no longer something the federal government is going to protect you on. There are going to be no federal protections for your marriage. If the state says your marriage is no good, then that's up to you and between you and the state. The Republican Party in 2025.